brother was wearing this when they took him. This is pretty much the only thing that we got back from him. They found it. It still actually has a few specks of blood from him.
You know, society gives us what, 3 days? What, you leave work, they give you 3 days, and they want you to deal with everything that you need to deal with. You need to bury your loved one, cry a couple tears, and then come back to work and act like it's okay. But it's not okay.
It does take a village. Not just a village to raise a child, but a village to actually run a successful society. A village to actually keep things like what happened to my brother from happening.
My name is Mario Davis. I am the brother of Kyle Davis, who was murdered February 11th, 2007, a few yards away from me down Garden View.
According to a report by the NPR in 2015, 1/3 of all murder cases go unsolved in the U.S. Many may attribute this to the no-snitching culture prevalent in the black community. However, cases involving a murdered police officer usually always find the killer, despite being the hardest to solve for various reasons, according to University of Maryland criminologist Charles Welford. This video, however, is about the lack of the "it takes a village" mentality today in the black community. When and where did the disconnect start? Do the advances in technology further propel the lack of interaction with strangers in the community? Many of us in previous generations couldn't rely on the internet for entertainment as children, and were forced outside to get to know our neighbors. Let us know your thoughts. How are you addressing the disconnect between residents in your community to ensure unsolved murders cease?
Not just address his murder, but also to address the fact that there are way too many cold cases, way too many families dealing with lost loved ones with no answers.
If you don't believe in God, then that's your choice. But I feel like in this life, you're going to run into situations where you're going to need somebody other than a person to strengthen you and to give you what you need to get through a situation.
To the outside world, we're up and moving and we're okay, but when I say that the collateral damage from something like this is extraordinary. I can vouch. I've almost lost my job, I've almost lost my marriage, depression, anger, you name it, we've been through it.
You don't want to think about it, especially it's been 10 years. It took me about 7 to be operational again. About 7 of those years to be able to go to work without having to leave early or having a crying fit out of nowhere, just from the fact of missing Kyle and just being angry.
We see these shows in Cleveland like First 48, and they solve it in 48 hours. You know what I mean? It's got to be hurting to the family.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a slap in the face.
Crime Stoppers case files. Mm-hmm. They actually had a full recreation about a full recreation of what happened. Mm-hmm. Well, there wasn't really a whole lot. There was a lot of people who called and gave support, but nobody was willing to really give answers. Mm-hmm. I do believe that it's not necessarily the police not doing their job, but oftentimes you find them with a lack of materials to effectively do their job. And what makes that worse, what actually causes it to be even more impossible to get answers for loved ones, is the silence of the community. I do believe that it truthfully starts on your own street. Get to know your neighbors. It don't take a lot. Like, even if the people on this street didn't know my brother, you would think that the pride that they would have in their neighborhood would convince them to say, not in my neighborhood. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. We're going to make sure who did it is apprehended, is brought to justice.
It chose to be the change. So this is a situation where, if I could just be honest, the healing is not going to really come from outside. We may never find out who these people are.
And it was my mother's idea completely to come out and say, let's go ahead and not stay in bed for February 11th. Let's not mope around and cry on February 11th. Let's be active. Let's get involved. Let's try to make a change. Once again, so that my brother's death is not in vain.
Find courage within yourself. You can't wait for the external to change. Y'all hear me? Can't wait for the outside to change. You'll be waiting forever. You would die waiting for that change. But if you choose to be the change and allow that change to start from within, maybe you'll see something different before you die.
Yes, sir.
That's in any situation. No matter what you're going through in your life, you can't wait for the outside. You're waiting on people to treat you right. You're waiting on your finances to get right. You're waiting to lose weight. You'll be waiting till you're dead.
Too many cold cases, too many unsolved murders, but too many murders, period. Period. Since 1990, we've lost 1,700 children and young adults between the ages of birth through 25.
It's one of the reasons why we have this speaker facing the street. If you guys can look over here. Look over to where, you can't see exactly the spot where my brother was found, but this is a busy intersection. He was laid on somebody's tree lawn in front of everybody's house. Have we had one person to make a statement? One person to give any type of insight as to what happened from that street? I can't say that we have.
And, I remember getting that phone call. It was kind of twisting a dagger because my mother had passed in August the previous year. That February 11th, I got the call and said, "Judah, come to the house. Come to the house quick." And I only lived a couple streets over, and walking through the door, and he collapses in my arms, and I'm still not sure what's going on. And he tells me that Kyle had passed away. And at that point, I begin to question God, why? He was so young. And so I share the pain with him and with others who have gone through similar situations. But my prayer is that this experience would not be wasted. That out of this grief, out of this pain, can come solutions. Out of this pain, we can better our community. Out of this pain, we can be pushed to find the resources. Out of this pain, we can be pushed to find what we need in order to bring back the neighborhood, to bring back porches. I personally miss porches. And all the big houses that I see now, hardly any houses have porches anymore. But when I was coming up, I'm an 80s baby. We stayed out on the porches in the summertime all night. Ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and if you was close enough with your neighbors, they'd let your friends stay on the porch, or you stayed on the porch with them, or you ate dinner with them.
When you're dealing with a murder loss, listen, I've been counseling for a while. And I've been counseling individuals who are grieving the loss of a loved one for a while. And when you're dealing with murder loss, it's something different. It's something different. Amen? A lot of people don't realize what that feels like and what that experience is like. But a murder loss is different than someone who was ill and died from an illness. And you may understand.
We really like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to come here. We hope that the message got out. We're not alone. It's too many people who are in the same situation. We do need to speak out. We need to stop this violence, because that knock on the door ain't no joke. But I'm going to let you know, people say, how do you do it? How do you go every day for 10 years? And it is truly by the grace of God. If you don't have that solid foundation to stand on, you will sink, because this is really, really heavy.
We had to become that village again. When I was a kid, I grew up in a village. It was people all up and down the street that knew me as a baby, and I sit around on the porch with old guys, I didn't know what they were talking about, but they let me, they pushed me away or nothing like that. That's a big village. And there was an old lady down the street used to give me cake. You know, she said, come on up here, Ricky. And she give me cake, you know. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, a village. Everybody, we all need to know somebody in the neighborhood. We need to know somebody. How I expect to live like this 30 years from now? You know, we can't let cowards run our neighborhoods. And as men, we do have to stand up. We do have to talk to the young brothers about what we know. We have to